everybody, and welcome back to our podcast. Today's moderator is myself, Munnira Africana Katongole. I'm an adolescent, so I'm super excited to be hosting an intergenerational dialogue on HIV, education, and SRH, which are the three umbrellas of the Education Plus initiative. I have two very special women with us today from different generations, and they will introduce themselves. I'll start with you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Phoya from Malawi. I'm a public health specialist. I'm a mom and also a grandmom. So probably I qualify to be in the intergenerational gap.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. We're so excited to hear both your perspectives. You, Chloe, as an adolescent girl. So as you can see, we have two women from different generations. Chloe, who's an adolescent and just completed primary school this year. And we have a doctor, a grandmother, and a mother. So we're hoping to get really intersecting conversations and wisdoms from both generations. So I'm going to start off with a question for both of you. I think I'll start off with you, Dr. Anne. What is something that you are proud of adolescents in this current generation and how they are engaging with the HIV response? And then follow up that question with what is something you're not so proud of about how they're engaging in the HIV response?
One thing that probably I can comment about the youth and the adolescents is that they are willing to take up challenges, they are willing to take up leadership, and probably to take control of their own lives. For example, I've noticed that we have these communities of people that probably we consider to be at risk. But as a community of young people, they are willing to take up responsibilities that will protect them against HIV and other emerging diseases. The one part that probably I don't like very much is that the adolescents also like to take risks that can put their lives in danger. And sometimes as the older generation, sometimes acting as parents, we try to tell the adolescents what they need to do, and they think probably the elderly or the older generation, they are overprotective, and probably they don't appreciate what the adolescents would like to do. But I don't think the intergenerational gap, we don't mean any harm. But we wish everything good, but probably just need to understand each other. How do we get to this goodness? Because I think we all have the same goal. The adolescents would like to live long, achieve their goals, and I think we have the same. But what is it that we can do so that we can all reach the same goal? Because I am very sure we have the same goal. But probably how to get there is where we need probably to compromise. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much for affirming that our goal is the same. We all want to live healthy lives, no matter what age and generation. Probably it comes with an issue of communication or whatever, but I'll allow Chloe to expand on that. Chloe, again, the question is, what is something of the older generation that you're proud of in the HIV response, and what is something you're not so proud of?
One thing I'm proud of in the older generation is that they've tried to get closer to us and made youth and adolescent programs for us and tried to listen to our problems. But the thing is, as one thing I'm not proud of, they listen to our problems. That's good and okay, but I feel like they are still putting their settings in us. They still think we are in that type of, we're still that behind. But they don't want to know that the youth and adolescents of nowadays really grow at a fast rate, mindly, emotionally, and spiritually. Sometimes we're not affected physically like all the old people are focused on, but we're affected mentally. So I think they should also try to not chill or just let us do whatever we want as we please, but as they listen to our problems, let them try to put them in our perspectives. And look at the type of era we are in. So right now, kids are not ready to be patient to play sex. So why don't they allow us to not use about condoms? But if that's it's like a bad thing if you even mention that. But that's because it was a bad thing in their era. But now they're putting that in our era, which is very dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chloe, for just highlighting the fact that as much as we wish the older generation to protect us, they should also understand that we have our own agency and that we want to take on things, and they should take on more of a figure of supporting as opposed to restricting us. So I think what I'm identifying here, a gap between the two generations, is maybe how we communicate our intentions with each other and how we support each other. Very briefly, I want to hear 1 or 2 sentences from each of you. How do you think we can communicate better intergenerationally? I'll start with you, Chloe, then I'll go back to Dr. Anne.
I think we should just tell the truth to each other. That because they're being our friends, that's well and good. And we're also trying to get close to them, but none of us is telling the truth to each other. You won't tell us the truth with AIDS, it's called what we can do to prevent it. You won't teach us more about it. You're just telling us not to do it. I think you understand what I'm saying now. And then we also won't tell you the truth because we're like, okay, the adult said I shouldn't do this, but I did it because I didn't know how to prevent it or how to stop myself from doing it. Because you didn't tell me the truth in the first place, I also won't tell you the truth. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chloe. So I hear the element of telling us what the impact as young people is, as opposed to telling a girl, don't have sex. We know that sex is something that young people are engaging in. Tell us the consequences. Communicate to us what the risks are, and instead of telling us, just don't do that, and don't approach us with judgment. Let us speak openly, freely, and truthfully. Thank you so much for that important note on communicating. And to you, Dr. Anne, how can we communicate better as grandmothers and as children?
Yeah, like I said earlier on, our goals are the same.
Yes.
We want the adolescent girl to grow and realize their potentials. But in the environment where the adolescent is growing up, there are challenges. So like she said, that probably we need to tell each other the truth. And I think as parents, and probably the elderly generation, we are trying to tell the truth the way we know how. For example, previously, during my generation, my parents or the teachers used to tell us that you buy a baby from the hospital. We know for sure you don't go to the hospital to buy a baby. So we are telling the young girls how we get a baby. We have tried to integrate issues of sexual education into school books, into the curricula, so that when I am at school as an adolescent, I will know how a baby is made. I will know that if I go through a sexual experience and I am not protected, I will get pregnant. That's what the parents would like to tell their children, that please, if you have, let's say, a boyfriend, this is the limit you can go. If you want to go further, then you need to take protection. Otherwise, you are either coming back pregnant, you are coming back with HIV, name what have you. So indeed, I agree with that we need to tell each other the truth, because if we know how you get harm, then you will not do it. So probably the thing that we need to know is how best can we communicate this information to each other. I will give you an example. Like I told you that I'm a mom. At one time, I was trying to sit with my little boy to teach him issues of sexuality, avoiding of things like HIV and AIDS. This young boy told me that, Mom, not you. Somebody can tell me that. So he was already feeling shy that should I be discussing these things with my mom. So probably these are the areas that we need to open to each other. And we're not communicating that properly, but kindly note that we wish you the best. We don't want to be over-controlling. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Anne. And maybe just to supplement, as a young person myself, I definitely love my parents and my grandparents. I'm constantly in conflict when it comes to my mom and life and risky behaviors, but I definitely think that my mom could do a better job of communicating to me what the risks are, and I could do a better job of opening up to my mom and letting her know, because she loves me. There's no one in the world who will protect me and love me like my mother. So hopefully I will implement the tools that both you and Chloe have shared and take this important note of empathetic, genuine, reasoned and explained conversation and communication with my parents. So thank you both, Dr. Anne and Dr. Chloe. And then the final question for today's podcast is, how, in relation to SRH and harmonizing the SRH cause, how can we end chains of intergenerational violence that we perpetuate amongst each other? Maybe to deepen the question, what I can say is sometimes we tend to feel that our parents become our oppressors as opposed to our companions. And sometimes we think our children are rebellious and they've just gone off the path. So how do you think we can end the way that we seem to be in conflict into the way we seem to be in conflict, knowing that we have a common goal, as Dr. Ann said? I hope the question was captured, and I'll start with you, Dr. Ann, on this question.
Yeah, probably the challenge I see here is the same of not good communication. Because I would not wish to be seen like somebody who is practicing violence against my own child, against my own grandchild. Because like I mentioned earlier on, I wish all the best for my children, my grandchildren, and anybody's child. Because like I said, I believe this is the future generation. These are the ones that are going to take this planet forward. So the best that we need to know is that open to each other. What are your needs? And what do you think, in your own opinion, are the best ways of meeting the needs that you have? Then probably from there we can come in as the elder generation to say, but this strategy that you have developed to meet your need is not the best because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 dangers. Why don't you probably try this way? I think probably that would be the best because as a practicing Christian, I would like to quote up one passage in the Bible. I might have forgotten its verse. But somewhere God is saying, come, let us sit and reason together so that we find a way forward. So I think you guys as adolescents, if you see us that we're going offline, why don't you ask us, please, can we sit and discuss? I'm sure we'll find a way forward. Than the parents getting angry, the adolescent getting angry. We'll not get anywhere. We'll end up with mental stress. And we don't want to get that way. We don't want a parent committing suicide because they think their child is rebellious. They look at themselves as failed parents. And we don't want the adolescent to also commit suicide thinking their parent is not taking care of them. So we don't want such a situation. So let us sit, reason together, share the needs and the strategy on how to get there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ann. I'm really seeing you emphasize the fact that intergenerational dialogues already exist and intergenerational ways of working already exist. However, it's an element of being able to converse with each other. And I really appreciate the fact that you said adolescents can have opinions, because as an adolescent who has navigated the space, it always seemed as if elders' opinions were superior to my own. So thank you for saying that there needs to be platforms for both elders and young people to share their opinions and then decide together what is the best way forward.
I can probably, before you go to, I can give you an example. I've tried to practice that in my house. Like I said, I told you I have grandchildren. One is 15, the other one is about 10. So the 10-year-old one is the one who has taught me. When I say, today we're not going to do this, I said, no, go. Can we sit and discuss this? So I have learned to invite this young boy. Today we are going to go out, we are going to the pizza house. I said, no, but I want to go to the coffee house. I said, okay, let's go have coffee. So it is good that we need to sit and discuss, but let us share our needs than just rebelling. Like I said, we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for that beautiful anecdote. Chloe, let's hear your anecdotes and your thoughts on the question.
I think I agree with the doctor. She's making a really good point because I think as adolescents and mothers and elderlies, we have very different perspectives. Like, we're going to be thinking, hey, we need our freedom, we need to be allowed to do whatever sort of thing we want, and then they'll start talking to us. But as they talk to us, I think we're both giving each other different information. What we are thinking is not what you're thinking. You're giving us information like, yes, tell us everything. You don't tell us everything, let us sit down and talk. But as we are talking, I feel like I'm just giving an example of girls. We are talking, but very many mothers are just telling you something like, if you're a girl or a woman, like if you're 20 and you're not married, your life is over. You see, so we get very different perspectives. So by the time this girl is 25, that is stress on her. I'm not married. Oh my God, what am I? So we need to sit down and reason, like you said, and communicate properly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chloe, for emphasizing that we shouldn't get expectations from our parents. Rather, our parents should support us in pursuing our own goals and aspirations in our life and letting us define what we want for ourselves. I want to finally ask you, Chloe, in relation to the same question. What is, from what we've had in this conversation with Dr. Ann, what is something you think you're going to take back home to mom and dad that could maybe implement or change how you communicate with each other and improve the intergenerational dialogue you have with each other? And what is something you hope mom and dad could do for you?
I'm probably going to take home the sitting down and first discussing what I want, what they want, and we all see what's best for us, because that rarely happens in our house. And we all usually want different things. So I'm going to take that back home. And I hope my parents are able to be free and a little chill, because sometimes I even fear to approach them and tell them, okay, let's do this, because I know it's an automatic no. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chloe, for that. Hopefully your parents can listen into this podcast and they can share it with other people in their generation. And hopefully Dr. Anne, your grandson, could listen into this and be proud of his go-go and how she's been able to be receptive to change and allow him to share his opinion and continue to communicate to you about his needs. I've also personally learned a lot that I'm going to take home, both to mom and when I have my own children. So thank you so much for this intergenerational dialogue. Hopefully with all this information we can use, we can continue to strengthen our HIV response, how we communicate our needs to each other as it relates to our health and safety, and how we can implement these modes and channels, not only in schools as a form of education, but also education in the home and in our community. Thank you so much for listening, audience members, and until the next time, Asante Sana.
Thank you.